Boom, we are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is the Nolan Hawkeye Anthony YouTube channel. And I thank all of you for being here, wherever you may be, and of course, however you may be listening. This is, of course, your weekly installment of a game preview. This week it will be Iowa at home against the Penn State Nittany Lions. And without further ado, we're just going to delve right into it. By the way, guys, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share the video out. Got to get Nolan Hawkeye out to friends and family, the whole 9 yards. Really get them in on the Hawkeye action from a true Iowa Hawkeye fan perspective. Let's dive into this. So, the Iowa Hawkeyes and Penn State, before the season started, this obviously was a marquee game. I would still say it is in a lot of regards as far as the name recognition goes. And this is why, and I cannot emphasize this enough. When preseason prognostications come out, there are a lot of people who base their predictions on the schedule. 80% schedule, 20% talent on the roster. And I've said time and time again that I am the opposite. I am a 80% talent, 20% schedule guy because there are countless examples of a schedule appearing one way when you look at it before the season starts, and then in actuality, it being quite another. Now, of course, there are seasons, but I think this is more rare and not the majority, not the status quo, not the norm, where a season does kind of play out as far as looking at the schedule pretty much as you thought it was going to play out when looking at your opponents. For the most part, 90% of the opponents, maybe even all of them in one way, shape, or form. They all perform exactly how you thought they would. They meet preseason expectations for the most part, but I think that that's rare. And Penn State this year is a prime example of, you look at the game before the season starts. This is a marquee game. Iowa Hawkeye fans circled this game. This game, Iowa State maybe, but definitely Indiana, Penn State. If Iowa can win one of those games, they're going to have a special season. And I always caution against that, guys, because you never know what a team is going to truly be until the season starts. You cannot fully evaluate the schedule until you're, at least a couple of games into the season. And even then, it's hard. And for example, Penn State, yes, these two teams coming into this game are obviously at slightly different points. Penn State coming into this game, they're reeling. Penn State fans would say that they lost their senior starting quarterback that's been their starting quarterback for multiple years now. The guy that was the starting quarterback that led to Bo Pribula transferring out, a lifelong Penn State fan. If I remember correctly, from the state of Pennsylvania, a guy that the Hawkeyes actually went hard after and almost landed. Of course, he did end up transferring to Missouri. They come into this game 3-3, three straight losses. And this is case in point. But again, even 6 games into the season, it's hard for me to confidently say that what Penn State is or is not, because they still do have a lot of talent on the roster. Yes, results matter, but you're not completely the results that you show on the field. Context matters when evaluating a team's performance and, injuries, luck, decisions, and the opposing team's luck. All those things play a factor stuff that we don't even see as fans, internal stuff that's going on with the program. There's more to it than just wins and losses. But obviously, 6 games into the football season. Oh, sorry guys, I accidentally kicked my camera. It's a lot easier to evaluate Penn State than before the season. And so that's just the point I wanted to drive home, because I say it all the time, and I feel vindicated yet again with this, just like I feel vindicated with, always saying when a new coaching hire gets hired, like a Luke Fickle, you have to wait until they actually start coaching, because the Big Ten is a different beast. It is totally different coaching Cincinnati, where you're playing a majority of those opponents. Not that Cincinnati's a terrible program and playing terrible competition, but it's not on the level of a Big Ten slate. So, anyways, if you've been watching my show for a long time, there's a few common themes that I drive home all the time. Now, bringing this back to Iowa versus Penn State, when I look at Iowa, and I posted a short on this. I view Iowa as a good football team. When I evaluate them 6 games into the football season, and I look at their wins and losses, I see them as a good football team. You look at their 2 victories over Wisconsin and Rutgers on the road. This is going to be verbatim what I stated in my short dropped a little bit ago. My short dropped a little bit ago. Those are decent wins. Obviously, Wisconsin is not a very good football program as a whole, but winning a game on the road against a rivalry opponent that spent all offseason talking about how they were going to beat you. They circled you as an opponent. It's a night game, homecoming game. You know, it's not easy to do. Big Ten opponent, not easy to do. Rutgers going to the East Coast, night game, playing on the road. Again, is Rutgers the best team in the world? No. But still, not an easy victory. You look at their 2 losses: Iowa State on the road, Indiana at home. Absolutely games that you could argue easily that Iowa should have won at least one of those games, if not both of those games. And I said after the Indiana game, when you specifically look at the wins and losses, and key in on the losses to Indiana and Iowa State, if Iowa is able to finish, and obviously caveat if, college football, college sports in general can be crazy at times, those games, if Iowa is able to finish strong, at most losing one more game to finish out the year, maybe two. But even two, it's like, okay, this is just a normal 8-4 season. I would say they really can only lose one more game for this to be a special type season, um, where what I'm about to say fits, which is this. When we look back at this a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, it will be the season that could have been, what might have been. Um, and of course, what I'm referring to is what might have been if Iowa defeated Indiana and Iowa State, or at least one of those opponents. And so, yeah, it's brutal. But Iowa, went into the bye week. Gronowski was injured. Very brutal loss against Indiana at home, who just defeated Oregon. And quite frankly, I think Iowa played better against Indiana than Oregon did. Um, so, and then you couple that with the talent that I believe Iowa has on this football roster. Um, they're a good team. I think they can be a great team. I think the talent they have is good enough to be a great team. But the difference between great and elite teams, and Penn State fans know this well as well, um, is being able to win those close games. And unfortunately, actually, Penn State probably knows it all too well. If you look at their games against Michigan, Ohio State during the James Franklin era. So these two teams, it's very interesting where they're coming where they are at coming into this game. Now, as an Iowa fan, this to me is a very pivotal game for the Iowa Hawkeyes. If Iowa loses this game to Penn State, I think that this will likely end up being a 8-7 win season. If they defeat Penn State, as they are favored to do, which we'll review here momentarily, I think that they have the ability to win 9 games. It'll still be very difficult. They have USC, Oregon, Nebraska. I mean, it's not an easy slate, not at all. But, and this is definitely one of the still coming to fruition, one of the more difficult schedules that Iowa has faced in a long time. When all is said and done, um, had Penn State not dropped 3 in a row, it would have been Iowa State, Indiana, Penn State, USC, Nebraska. What is that? 5, 6 opponents that are top 25 caliber teams. It's a tough schedule, and then plus Iowa has other games that are like on the road that aren't easy games. So, but this game is pivotal because now contextually speaking, this is a very winnable game for Iowa. But again, Penn State has a lot of talent. James Franklin, even though Penn State fans probably don't love him at the moment, is a quality coach. He might not be the best coach, might not be the most elite coach, but he's still a good coach in my estimation. Um, they still have all the talent elsewhere. Now, things have not looked great, but the talent is still there. So that's where we're at. Let's go ahead and share the screen here so we can do look at all the other good quality stuff. I'm gonna try and do the video relatively quickly. Let's see here. Oh, sorry guys. Seeing my officiating uh stuff in the background. No biggie. Um Some of you guys, if you guys are sports official, high school, college, you guys might know as well. Um, Iowa comes into this game as 2.5 point favorites. I think most of that has to do with the talent, or excuse me, the Hawkeyes being at home. It's a night game. It's going to be a very difficult environment. But make no mistake, the odds makers still can't get past the name Penn State. And they know the talent level that Penn State still has on their roster. And the one thing that I will say is Penn State losing 3 games in a row is a double-edged sword. On one hand, they might totally be depleted and just be looking for the season to be done. On the other, losing 3 straight, they could be due for a victory and might really be rummaging for a victory, and hopefully it doesn't come against Iowa. Over under is 38.5. The football power index gives Iowa a 52% chance to win this game. I think that that's accurate. And I think the spread is accurate. I'd probably give it a little bit more. I think it should be 3 or 4 point favorite for Iowa, especially considering Drew Aller is out. Here are the statistical leaders. Gronowski, 743 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 INTs. Kamari Moulton, thank goodness he's back. He's been looking good. 261 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Sam Phillips, 193 yards. Reese Vanderzee, big-bodied outside Z receiver for the Hawkeyes is back. Thank goodness. Iowa is going to need his playmaking ability. He just adds an element that Iowa has missed. They've tried to insert it with Dayton Howard. I just don't think he's quite there yet. He might be, half a year away from it. Reese Vanderzee, I think, is probably the most talented, physically gifted wide receiver that the Hawkeyes have on the roster. Sacks, Max Llewellyn has 5 sacks. He's top in the country in sacks. And here are your tackle leaders as well. A. Campbell with 50 tackles for Penn State. Here are the last 5 games for each team. Penn State, they defeated FIU, Villanova. Wonder who their first victory was against. Let's take a look at that. really quickly, shall we? Now, of course, you look at Iowa. Um, they defeated Wisconsin last week, 37 to nothing. Again, looking at the quality of, they defeated Nevada 46 to 11. Looking at the quality of kind of where they're at, sitting 4-2. Um, I think that goes into it as well. The fact that they held Wisconsin to 0 points. But the last three losses for Penn State at home against Oregon, double overtime, 6 point loss. Then they lose to UCLA, who is emerging a little bit. I think they had a coaching change, but it's not like UCLA has been world beaters this year. They lost 42 to 37. Again, going to the West Coast is a difficult trip, but still, Penn State probably should have won that game. And then they lost to Northwestern at home by 1 point, and Drew Aller is out. You look at the Iowa Hawkeyes, the 16 to 13 loss on the road to Iowa State, defeated Rutgers on the road by 10 points, lost to Indiana by 5 points, had the game within grasp. Drew Stevens under five, I think it was under 3 minutes, couldn't nail the field goal to put the Hawkeyes up, which would have totally changed the direction of the game. And instead, Indiana scores a touchdown to win 20 to 15. I think they were actually down at that point as well. And then Iowa defeated Wisconsin 37 to nothing. All right, guys. And then game is at 4 o'clock Pacific time, I believe. Looks like the weather's going to be good. Um, might be some lightning, so we'll see. Hopefully that doesn't happen to mess up the game. All right, guys. I've already said most of my analysis, but here's just some my game prediction and some added tidbits. Again, this is a crucial game for Iowa. This is a game that before the season, most would have predicted was going to be a loss. Things have moved in Iowa's favor. Penn State is reeling. This is now a very, very winnable game. It was always winnable, but now if you look at the complexion of this game, I think it's a lot more winnable, especially with the quarterback being out. I would like Iowa to defeat Penn State when they're at their best, but at this point in the season, nobody's at their best as far as injuries go. Iowa, they have Kamari Moulton back. I loved what I saw in the run game with him, true freshman Nathan McNeil and Xavier Williams. We'll see how that changes if uh, Jazian Patterson is able to come back. I always forget how to say his name because Iowa has the name pronunciation, but I naturally want to say Jazian, but it's Jazian Patterson. We'll see if he gets back. Terrell Washington Jr. was out with injury as well. But I think either way, the running back is in a good spot. If the same guys are there from last week, they're in good position. This has definitely been a run game that is a committee approach. I do think Kamari Moulton is the lead back this year, but again, it's a running back by committee approach. Iowa's run game has been fantastic this season. Hopefully, they can continue it against Penn State. It's going to be another good challenge. Iowa's defense is silently elite status again. They are sixth in the country in points per game against, and they are eighth in the country in yards per game against. The only thing that this defense doesn't have, and it's the only thing I've been slightly critical on this year, is the takeaways. And we saw a lot more against Wisconsin. Finding ways, advantageous ways, optimistic opportunities to produce takeaways, and it really changes the complexity of the football game for the Iowa Hawkeyes. It's true complementary football. Drew Stevens got back on track, so all of that's good. Again, Penn State has a lot of talent. The big boys do, the blue bloods do, the Ohio States, the Oregons, the Michigans. So no matter no matter if they're down and out, they're never down and out because there is that talent on the roster. Are we going to see a Penn State that is ready to go and absolutely above all else trying to shed three losses in a row? Or are we going to see a Penn State that's like, no, our quarterback's out. We're looking forward to next season. I tend to lean towards the former as James Franklin. I think he's a coach that's going to get his guys ready to play. So I think the Hawkeyes need to prepare for that. Um, I'm going to predict Iowa to win this game 25 to 15. I do think that they are the better football team at this point in the season going into this game. They have a stout defense. I just don't see unless Penn State and their backup quarterback offers so much more, which is possible. I mean, there is talent all over the roster that Drew Aller did not. Um, I just don't see it happening. And I see Iowa's defense, as elite as they are, being able to take advantage of a new quarterback being put in there, regardless of if the talent is there or not, and making him make mistakes. Unless Penn State is able to really lean on its defense and completely shut out Iowa, shut down the run game, and then on top of that, have some success running the football themselves. I don't see a huge pathway for them to win this game. Anything is possible, but again, it being at home, it being a night game, I just think there's more working in Iowa's favor coming into this game. But make no mistake, I would not be surprised in the least if Iowa does not perform as they should in this game and Penn State is up to the challenge. The talent is there. I want to make that known. Okay. I will not be surprised if Penn State makes a game of this because they have a lot of talent. James Franklin's a good football coach, and this is why I view this game as such a kind of trap game, difficult game, because this is, again, contextually speaking, a game that Iowa should probably win um, at this point in the season based on where both these two teams are at. But it's college football. Iowa always loses a game that they shouldn't lose. Maybe not always, but often. And I'm concerned that Kirk Ferentz is going to do Kirk Ferentz things and giving way too much credit to this Penn State team, way more credit than he should, plays way too conservatively, and Iowa loses by 3 points on a last second field goal against Penn State. Knock on wood. And I just hate to say it, but I know Kirk too well. I know the program too well. I don't think that that's going to happen, but again, I wouldn't be surprised if it did. And even if it doesn't happen, Penn State still does have the talent to make this a formidable game. But I'm gonna take the Hawkeyes to win a 10-point game. I think the defense shuts out Penn State. Penn State really is unable to get anything going offensively. And I think Iowa's offense towards the end of the game, late second quarter, third quarter, maybe even a little bit later in the game is able to get things on track. Iowa's defense forces some takeaways. Maybe Caden Weechton gets some things going, and Iowa was able to get the victory and move to 5-2. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share. You guys know the drill. And last but not least, DBAP. Don't be a pussy willow. In fact, our feelings, because your feelings just matter. Love you, Hawk fans. See you guys next time. Go Hawks. Bye-bye.